When they arrived in Jerusalem, Jesus went to the temple and began to drive out all those who were buying and selling. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the stools of those who sold pigeons, and he would not let anyone carry anything through the temple courtyards. He then taught the people, "It is written in the scriptures that God said, 'My temple will be called a house of prayer for the people of all nations,' but you have turned it into a hideout for thieves." The chief priests and the teachers of the law heard of this, so they began looking for some way to kill Jesus. They were afraid of him because the whole crowd was amazed at his teaching.
I'm Anna, and I don't really know where to start. It happened yesterday, and I'm still shaking from it. I've never seen anything quite like it. I can't even bear to go there again, to the temple. So here I am in this little synagogue to try and get some quiet and to try and make sense of what I saw and heard. One of the neighbours in my village, Joshua, is a merchant and makes most of his living from selling lambs and pigeons to those needing to make a sacrifice at the temple. I often go and have a chat with him if there's a lull in the number of people coming to buy things. He says he does really well out of those coming at Passover because there's hundreds of thousands of people by the end of the week coming for their annual observance. You see, the pilgrims can't bring anything for the Passover sacrifice with them as they've travelled such a long way to get here. So they have to buy something there in the outer temple precincts. They have no choice, and it's important to be able to give a thank offering. I know that some of the merchants are less scrupulous than Joshua, and if they see pilgrims from Caesarea or Jericho, they put up their prices because they know they come from a richer part of the country. Even more if they come from Greece or Rome. They can get away with anything then, as the pilgrim knows no better. But not Joshua. He thinks they should all be charged the same. Joshua's a fair man. Anyway, back to yesterday. When I arrived mid-morning, there was a real buzz. Joshua and his fellow merchants were busy, and the money changers were doing a good trade too. A pilgrim's native currency has to be changed into the local currency to pay the temple tax. Now, if some of Joshua's fellow traders ripped people off, you should have seen what these guys were doing. So many people, though, you could hardly move, not like it is in other weeks, relatively quiet with just a bunch of Gentiles in this area praying. Because of non-Jews, that they can't go into the temple proper. Then I noticed a bit of a commotion over where the money changers had their stalls. That new rabbi and teacher, Jesus, had arrived with his disciples and quickly had a pretty large crowd gathered around him. But that always happens wherever he appears. I've gone to a couple of his gatherings. He doesn't look much, but he's pretty impressive. He tells some amazing stories and is willing to answer any questions that you have about God. And he doesn't use fancy, complicated words. He says it in words even I understand. Initially, I didn't pay a great deal of attention, but as more and more people gathered, I thought I might as well join them and see what he had to say. I just reached the back of the crowd when it all kicked off. I could hardly believe what I saw happening. Jesus starts tipping over all the tables. The coins and the scales start rolling everywhere. Some of the wooden tables splinter into pieces. Not just one table overturned, every table that was within his reach. You should have heard some of the language of those money changers. Far too vulgar to repeat. There's a mad scramble from all those in the crowd to pick up the coins that by now are going everywhere. People are rushing over from all four corners of the precinct to get a bit of the action. It's chaos. Then he starts on the stalls of Joshua and the other merchants, throwing the stools around and scattering the pigeon baskets. Lots of them take the chance to escape through the birds fluttering everywhere too. Then Jesus unties a rope, or was it a whip from around his waist, and starts flailing that around too. Has he completely lost leave of his senses? People start screaming, the money changers shout even louder, and then Jesus, who by now is really angry, shouts out at all of them, God says the temple is a house of prayer. You lot have made it into a hideout for thieves. Whoa, all this in a holy place. Absolutely unbelievable. I can tell you it really scared me. I'd seen this Jesus being patient and caring. I'd seen him telling funny stories. I'd seen him being kind to all who came and asked for healing. So what on earth happened yesterday? So here I am sitting quietly and reliving it all in my head. Was it that the money changers were cheating people? They were, of course, but it's just accepted practice round here. Was it that the temple taxes had been raised for Passover? Or just maybe, another thought struck me. All this was going on in a place where people at other times came for prayer. And of course, yesterday, there was no room for them to do that. Could it be that? Who knows? One thing for certain, if he was becoming unpopular before with the religious leaders and the others that rule over us at the moment, this is bound to make him someone they want to put away. I think I'll just stay here a bit longer and try to get some of those pictures of yesterday to go away. Didn't sleep last night for thinking about it. It'll be a few days before I can face going back to the temple. That's for sure.